Hi guys, welcome back. Leo McCarthy here, spiritual mentor, psychic and medium, Reiki Master, EFT Tapping practitioner, and Shaman. Today I want to talk about healing. And my question to you today is, are you ready to heal? That's the big question. I want to give you an analogy, or a metaphor rather. I want you to think about when you were a kid, did you learn how to swim? Some of us learned how to swim. Some of us were afraid of the water, and some of us loved the water after we got used to it and learned how to swim and tread water and swim on our own. Knowing whether or not you're ready to heal is like taking that step in that leap of faith to jump in that pool and moving through the fear of not being able to keep yourself afloat, and also worrying about trusting, do we have people for support that have our back to keep us from sinking and going under the water. Swimming is like learning to swim rather is like learning to heal. If you think of water, it's kind of like our emotions. And the water is kind of like our life experiences, our traumas, the events we've gone through that have shaped us in either a negative way, positive way, regardless. And knowing whether or not you're ready to heal comes down to a trust and having faith. And until we can trust and have faith that we have the potential and we're willing to move through the fear of the unknown, is the same as trying to learn how to swim and making the decision to jump in the water. Now, when we learn to swim, sometimes we have things to help us float. So when you were a kid, maybe you had floaties, you had a life jacket, you have a flotation device, you had a parent or you had someone right there with you to kind of hold you in the water to kind of get you used to it and just know that they're right there holding you up so you're not going to sink. And that takes a big leap of faith just to kind of get over that fear of getting in the water and sort of defying gravity and not knowing whether or not we're going to be able to stay afloat. Now, regardless if you're choosing a way of healing through talk therapy, Reiki, somatic release, meditation, yoga, and a whole bunch of other modalities that are out there, if you're not ready to jump in, you're not going to swim. And if you're not ready to heal, even if you start a process working with a practitioner, whether it's Reiki, a shaman, yoga, if you're working on healing and you're not ready, you're not going to be open to being vulnerable. And it takes being vulnerable and open to have the success with healing. What we need to do is we need to find a way that we can kind of trust and have faith. And sometimes that comes down to listening to your gut, but also quieting the fear and the anxiety and almost getting a little bit curious about what is on the other side of fear and what is on the other side of me feeling hurt. And on the other side, could I potentially feel better? Could I potentially heal? If you're looking to explore things like talk therapy, Reiki, yoga, somatic release, meditation, sound healing, whatever it is, you're going to get the most out of it if you're ready. And so it may take more than one attempt, and it may take more than one practitioner or modality to try. But you have to feel on a soul level, how does your connection feel with either that modality or that practitioner that you want to work with? Does it feel safe? Do they feel confident? Do you feel like you can be vulnerable with this person? Do you feel like they can hold space for you in a safe way, the same way when you were a kid and you were learning to swim? Do they feel safe, like that person, that parent, that guardian, that grandparent, rather, whoever it was that held you in that pool to help keep you afloat until you learned the techniques to swim? So don't give up on the process of healing. If you try something and you feel like you're not getting something out of it, or you feel like maybe it even opened up things and maybe you feel worse, you need to figure out ways to trust in different processes to regulate yourself and heal. And you have to be willing to not give up on things that maybe don't work the first time. So maybe you try like Reiki and you have an experience with someone, and you're going into the session with a lot of anxiety, you're carrying a lot of trauma, and you come out of the session and you feel a little emotional and you're feeling your feels. Now, the Reiki and like other modalities, they get stored emotions and energy moving. And you have to learn to follow through with the process and commit to trying something more than once. Now, if you don't feel a connection and you don't feel a trust with either a modality or a practitioner, then give it another try. It's like, for example, like if you get your hair cut and you go to a hairdresser, if you get your hair cut and styled by someone and you really hated how it came out, you might not go back to them, but it doesn't mean you won't go get your hair cut from someone again. So you would naturally try to find someone new that resonated with you, and the outcome was they styled your hair really nicely and you were happy with the results. And so our healing not only takes a leap of faith and trust, but it also takes a lot of follow through and consistency. Healing is not a one-time thing. It's not an easy fix. So you have to be steadfast in the process. It's just like if you think about working out and exercise, you don't get stronger and you don't build muscle and you don't build endurance by doing one workout. It's a process. It takes one day at a time, week by week, month by month, year by year, to make gains and to get stronger and to build endurance. It's the same thing on your healing journey. If you try one thing and maybe you feel a little better, but you still feel like you have more to work on, then just like you have to go to the gym one more time, you may have to try another session another time. And so that is kind of what I wanted to talk about today. Is the main thing is knowing whether you're ready or not to start your healing journey. And are you ready to jump into the pool? And then it's a matter, if you're ready, finding that right pool or body of water that you're ready to try to swim in, and finding that practitioner that you connect with, that you feel this natural connection. And when you feel the right connection, and it is the right connection for you, there's kind of an exciting feeling behind it. And there's a feeling of almost like, you know, how love feels and unconditional love. It has a similar positive feeling when your intuition and your soul is speaking up that this feels right. So I just wanted to give you something to think about, and just think about, are you ready to work on your healing? And are you ready to endure the process and not just the one-day workout? Stay tuned, and I'll talk to you later.